the zero point 0.8 grams per kilogram protein recommendation from the RDA, which is kind of a minimum amount that you need just to not, what 96% of the population needs because they use 2 orders on top of what they felt would be deficient, 2 orders of magnitude. So the 0.8 is not optimal for performance. And so you go to the researchers. You look at, again, Stu Phillips has done some of the major work in this area. And he recommends a minimum of 1.2 grams per kilogram. And he's said more recently that anything north of 1.6 grams per kilogram, even for bodybuilders, probably isn't going to give you any more muscle benefit. That's not to say you couldn't eat more protein. There might be some other benefits. Satiety would be the primary one. But in terms of stimulating MPS, as you mentioned, the leucine threshold, I mean, once you get 2.5 grams of leucine, you've sufficiently stimulated muscle protein synthesis. 5 grams isn't going to do any better.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the same thought with protein.
What if you're enhanced, though?
Well, that's interesting, yeah. But I would argue that you'd probably need less protein if you're enhanced because you become more efficient.
The thing I always find interesting, though, is you become more efficient, so people use it as a justification to eat the same amount as a natural despite having a higher rate potential of assimilation. So it's like, do I want to get the same amount as a natural even though I'm like literally taking drugs and push carbs more? Or what would your approach generally be?
Well, now if you're in a calorie surplus and pushing carbs more, now that's protein sparing.
But let's just say in general, like I understand you work with an array of athletes with different performance demands based on their sport contextually. But if somebody is taking super physiological hormones and has this heightened capacity to accrete, protein or whatever, what would you be saying as far as like general principles to diet? Because in naturals, they will say, okay, well, if you have upwards of a gram per pound, like you're set. Never go over that. You're good. Don't worry about it. In enhanced, would you say the same and just push carbs harder because you can handle more based on, and you can train harder, so you need the carbs? Or what would your approach generally be?
That would depend. If you're in a calorie surplus, I would like to get you to get a little more protein. Having said that, it doesn't take a lot of extra protein to build muscle. And even in enhanced, you're not going to build muscle at 10 times the rate of a natty.
Sure.
You just want to be in a sufficient surplus. The only reason I would be cautious, like I've got one of Hofthor's biggest challenges, one of Lane Johnson's biggest challenges was being able to eat enough calories. So if I start pushing protein up, and he's
at the detriment of overall calories, never achieving the level you
that
need.
becomes the challenge. Am I getting a significantly better benefit from the added protein? Probably not, but I'm losing in terms of his total caloric intake if I can't get his calories up. He had a diet given to him by a registered dietitian. Again, not a knock on registered dietitians. The co-author of my book, Dr. Damon McCune, is a PhD RDN who was director of dietetics at UNLV. We spent years working together, hundreds of hours, making sure that we supported all of the recommendations that we made with peer-reviewed published research. And I'm just saying that at some point there has to be a practicality. His diet, Lane Johnson's diet originally was tons and tons of chicken and like 5 or 6 cups of quinoa a day. Good luck eating. I mean, if you ever tried 5 or 6 cups of quinoa a day, I mean, it would wreck you. So calories are king. The first thing we had to do was get him into a surplus. And I'm willing to make a lot of sacrifices in terms of dietary quality to achieve that end because Lane gets paid to perform at a particular level, and he feels as though 330 is that weight, not 312. Plus, he's less susceptible to injury at the heavier weight. This year was one of his better years. The last couple of years, he was a little lighter, and he had some recurring leg injuries. So, nonetheless, I would propose that I use protein as a satiety mechanism, and I will bring it down. I brought it down with Hofthor as well. He didn't need to eat 400 grams of protein a day to maybe 0.8 grams per pound of body weight, so I can push calories as a priority. And I would flip the script and do just the opposite with somebody dieting because I want to increase satiety. I'd give them 1.2, 1.3 grams per pound, not because I think that it's going to give them better lean mass performance, but because it's going to satiate them